You know exactly how it feels when the moment becomes too big for you. You have prepared for the meeting for weeks. You have rehearsed the words in front of your mirror until they flowed like water. You know the material. You know you are capable. But then you walk into the room and the eyes of the people across the table lock onto you. Suddenly, the air feels thin. Your heart begins to hammer against your ribs like a trapped bird. The simple sentences you memorized dissolve into a fog. You try to speak, but your voice is tight and foreign. You try to think, but your mind is blank. The harder you try to regain control, the more it slips away. You tell yourself to focus, to be sharp, to be impressive. But the very act of trying to be impressive makes you clumsy. You leave the room feeling defeated, not because you lacked the skill, but because something inside you broke under the weight of the moment. You wonder why you can perform perfectly when you are alone, but fall apart when it matters most. This is not a defect in your character. It is a fundamental paradox of the human mind. There is an ancient story from the Taoist tradition, often attributed to the philosopher Chuang Tzu, that explains exactly why this happens. It is the story of the archer and the 3 prizes. Imagine an archery range in a quiet province of ancient China. The morning mist is still clinging to the grass. A skilled archer stands at the line. He holds a bow made of mulberry wood. He is relaxed. His breathing is deep and slow. First, he is asked to shoot for a prize of a simple clay tile. The tile is worthless. It is just a piece of baked earth. The archer draws his bow. He does not care if he hits or misses because the prize means nothing to him. His mind is empty. His body is loose. He releases the arrow and it flies true, striking the center of the target. He is a master of his art. Next, the conditions change. He is told that if he hits the target now, he will win a belt buckle made of brass. It is a nice object, worth a little money, something he could wear with pride. The archer draws his bow again. This time, he hesitates for a second. He aims a little longer. He thinks about the buckle. His shoulder tenses slightly. He shoots, and the arrow hits, but it is not a perfect shot. It wobbles in the air and lands near the edge of the target. He feels a flicker of relief, but not joy. Finally, the stakes are raised to the ultimate level. He is told that for this shot, the prize is a heavy bar of pure gold. It is enough wealth to change his life forever. The archer steps up to the line. He looks at the target, but he no longer sees just the target. He sees the gold. He sees the future. He sees the fear of losing that gold. His breath becomes shallow. His hands begin to shake. When he pulls back the string, the target seems to double. He goes blind with anxiety. He tries to force his arm to be steady, but the harder he tries, the more it trembles. He releases the arrow in a panic. It flies wild, missing the target completely and burying itself in the dirt. The master, watching him, observes quietly. The archer's skill had not changed. He was the same man who hit the center when shooting for clay. His muscles were the same. His eyes were the same. But his mind had changed. When he shot for nothing, he was free. When he shot for the gold, he became a slave to the prize. He cared too much. And because he cared too much about the outcome, he lost his connection to the process. This story is the mirror of our modern lives. We are constantly shooting for gold. The gold is the job offer you desperately need. The gold is the approval of a romantic partner you are afraid to lose. The gold is the number of likes on a post or the praise of a difficult parent. When the prize becomes too heavy, it crushes the skill. You see this in sports, where a star player misses an easy shot in the final seconds of the championship. You see it in creative work, where a writer stares at a blank page for hours because they want to write a masterpiece instead of just writing a sentence. The need for the result creates a separation in your mind. One eye is on the work, but the other eye is on the prize. You are looking at two targets, and, as the story says, he who looks at two targets strikes none. We often believe that to succeed, we must care more. We are taught that desire is the fuel of achievement. We tell ourselves that if we stress enough, if we worry enough, we will perform better. But the archer proves this is a lie. Excessive desire does not sharpen your aim. It blurs your vision. It creates tension in the body and chaos in the mind. The fear of failure is simply the shadow cast by the desire for success. The bigger the desire, the darker the shadow. So how do we find our way back to the state of shooting for the clay tile, even when gold is on the line? How do we reclaim the effortless skill we have when we are alone? The answer lies in a concept the ancients called Wu Wei. This is often translated as effortless action, but a better way to understand it is action without attachment. It means to act with total focus on the doing while completely forgetting the result of the doing. When the archer shot for the clay, he was fully present. He was the bow, the arrow, and the release. There was no future in his mind, no thought of what comes after the shot. There was only the shot itself. To apply this, you must learn to shrink the world down to the immediate action. When you are in the high-stakes interview, do not think about the job offer. Do not think about the salary or the prestige. Those are the gold. They are not in the room with you. Only the conversation is in the room. Listen to the question being asked. Answer that one question as honestly as you can. Be here, in this chair, speaking to this person. If you can stay in the room, your natural intelligence will return. If you are working on a project that feels overwhelming, stop looking at the finished product. That is the gold. Look at the single task in front of you. Write one paragraph. Write one line of code. Lay one brick. When you focus on the process, the fear recedes. The process is always manageable. The outcome is what is terrifying. You must trick your mind into believing you are shooting for clay. This is not about apathy. It is not about not caring. It is about realizing that your best work happens when you are light. You cannot dance if you are carrying a heavy sack of gold on your back. You cannot aim if your eyes are fixed on the prize instead of the target. Think of the times in your life when you were at your absolute best. Maybe you were playing a game with friends, or helping a stranger, or working on a hobby just for the fun of it. You were not trying to impress anyone. You were not afraid of making a mistake. You were simply doing the thing for the joy of the thing itself. That is your true power. That is the archer hitting the center of the target without even thinking. The world will always dangle gold in front of you. It will always try to make you nervous by telling you how much this moment matters, how high the stakes are, how much you have to lose. But the arrow does not know the difference between a practice shot and a tournament. The bow does not care if the prize is a kingdom or a clay tile. The mechanics of the shot are exactly the same. The tension you feel is not real. It is a story you are telling yourself about what will happen if you miss. But right now, you have not missed. Right now, you have not hit. You are simply standing with the bow in your hand. Take a deep breath. Feel the wood in your grip. Forget the gold. Forget the brass. Forget the clay. There is no prize. There is only the string, the tension, and the release. Can you let the arrow fly for its own sake?